You're listening to the Finding Truth podcast. When we're not getting distracted by Jacob's plain facts, we discuss taking ownership of our faith and what it looks like to follow Jesus in today's culture. Here are your hosts, Lockie and Brad.
Well, we're back for another episode of the Finding Truth podcast. And again, I don't have Brad with me, but that's because today I have Liam and Steve who preached the first two messages of Rule and Reign, the message series at camp this year. And so for those of you who may not have been at Fuse Camp, it's been a couple of months since camp now. We're back, we're rested, we've recovered. And so we've also, in that time, we've edited and we've put together the messages from camp, which is super exciting. And so those are about to come out on the app so that, I don't know, if you enjoyed watching them at camp, you can jump back in and you can watch them again. If you were sitting at the back of the hall and you didn't see Steve's laptop drop, you can see that in there as well. But today, we're going to just chat a little bit more around the Rule and Reign topic, and we're going to unpack, I guess, each of these sermons. And so this will be part one of a two-part series. And so Liam obviously did the first night at camp and Steve did the second. And then next week we'll have Adam and Brad who did nights 3 and 4. And so today we're going to kick off and we're going to talk a little bit about what the topic is. And then, we're going to jump into Liam and Steve and unpack their messages a little bit further post-camp. And so, cool. Rule and Reign, that was the topic of camp. And so I think there was a Bible verse that came with it. I think it was 2 Timothy 4 verse 8. And this is now there is in store for me the crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, will award to me on that day. And not only to me, but also to all who have longed for his appearing. And so that was sort of what we based our week around. And no better people to talk about it than you two, because you actually preached on it. And so I guess, Liam, we'll start with you. And so maybe give us a bit of a recap of night one. And then we might, get into it a little bit deeper.
Sounds good. I will also say I just had a watch of the video on the app, and you somehow made me look and sound way better than I did on the night. So props to your editor. No, Rule and Reign. So I got to do the first night, as you said, and it was all about how God made us to rule and reign. That we sort of weren't meant to go through this life just taking it as it comes and rolling with the punches. But God actually made us with this intention that we would join him in ruling and reigning over this beautiful world that he had given us. And it starts with that image of God actually forming us out of the dirt, and how he got the dust, he got the dirt. In the Hebrew, it's the Adamah, which is where Adam gets his name from. His name means mud, basically.
There you go. I love a bit of history.
Yeah. And he makes it into the shell of the man, and then he breathes the breath of life into him. And the first thing Adam does when he opens his eyes is he is in that face-to-face relationship with God. And that's actually what we're made to be. We were made to be in this relationship with God. We're made to join in what he is doing. And then God actually comes along and he gives us instructions. So he basically says, be fruitful and multiply. So fill the earth with life, create new life, join God in the act of creation. And then we're to subdue and cultivate. We're to take this world that God has made and we're to impose rules. We're to create structure. We're to join God in the ongoing project of creation. That when God sort of made everything, it wasn't finished. We sort of have this image of God making everything into being done, but God's like, nah, go out and expand the borders of Eden. Go and apply and create more structures and rules and take care of this beautiful world that I have created. So that was sort of the summary of night one.
Yeah, nice. And so if that's the summary of night one, what are some of the key points or some of the key, I suppose, parts of the message that you felt you really hit home with the kids?
I think the big thing is just God made us for a purpose. And it's really not what the world tells us, right? The world tells us that, we're here on accident, that we're sort of the result of the cosmic roll of the dice, but God actually made us on purpose. He made us for a purpose. and he has a plan for our lives. And that looks like ruling and reigning with him, but we chose the other route. We chose to rule and reign by ourselves. And that's why it sort of feels like life doesn't have purpose, because we're not living in the plan that God had for us to join him in creation.
And so practically, how do you think it looks to change that?
Well, it's not something we can do on our own. That's probably the big thing that you can try, and then Steve will talk more about this in his message. That's sort of where he was going with it.
Yeah.
But we can't do it on our own, and we actually need someone to come and restore that crown that we threw away back onto our heads. And actually, right from the start, God makes it clear that he's going to do that. That from the moment we throw off the crown and we say, "Nah, God, we got this." God says, "Okay, one day is going to come one of your offspring, a single human Jewish male, and he is going to crush the head of this enemy. He's going to defeat the evil one, and he's going to restore that crown that you have so carelessly thrown away." So, as the answer is for most things, the answer is Jesus.
Good answer.
Yep. And yeah, Jesus is the only way we can come back into that right relationship and that right position of authority and ruling and reigning with God.
Great. Awesome. And so I guess then moving on to night 2, Steve, you sort of picked up. And so where did you take it in that second night?
Yeah, that's awesome. I'll probably just start off on a real serious note. I've had a bit of feedback online around, like, did I tighten the stand that my laptop was on, and was I careless with things that I own? And I just want to come out, let me just set the record straight. I've reviewed the footage, and you can too on the app, obviously.
You can, it's there.
And I've come to the conclusion it was a ghost. Not biblical, not part of the biblical teaching, but I think it was a ghost that pushed my laptop.
The spirit moved so vigorously.
Possibly, or just a straight out ghost. There was a lot of fog, I'm pretty sure. Mount Tambourine.
The haze machine.
Yeah, haze machine. Pretty sure a ghost pushed it off. So let me just get that. I just want to get that out there. Serious time, guys. Serious.
Good.
Before I get into what I talk about.
My favorite thing is that some people thought it was like
a sermon illustration.
Yeah, some people thought it was legit.
My own kids on the way home, I took my girls. They weren't old enough, but they came and they loved it, by the way. But they on the way home goes, "Dad, how did you make your laptop fall off?" And of course, 8 and 6, I said, I had to think about it. I said it was a ghost. Same ghost that lives under your bed? No, I didn't. That would be, I don't traumatize my kids. I said, no, that wasn't part of it. Daddy just makes it look like it's all part of it.
You took it very casually. You just turned over. It's like, oh. And just went back to the message.
I was so impressed.
A ghost has pushed my laptop off many things. So, but no, on an actual serious note, so we have this picture of God, King, rule, perfection. Beautiful. It's good. It's fun. It's the way it's meant to be. We're created for purpose. And then what we do, we stuff it up. And so essentially, the message was about, we don't just stuff it up. Man, just creation just keeps going back. And what we try to do, we try to pick that crown. No, we don't even pick that crown back up. We try to make our own. And we just don't learn our lesson. And the Bible is just full of stories. Heaps of people think the Bible's full of rules, but it's really not. It's just full of stories of people trying to make their own crowns and then finding out that leads to even more destruction. I don't know if the Bible says this or common saying, but like talking about a dog that goes back to its own vomit. It's like we don't learn from our mistakes. Like, oh, I vomited. I'll go back and eat that. That looks yum. Oh, I'll vomit. I feel sick. Go back and eat that. That looks yum. But it sounds silly, but it's literally like trying to dig yourself out of a hole. Like, oh, I'll make my own crown and I'll declare this king. And we see it I use the example of they wanted a king with Saul, and they demanded a king, and God's like, no, we've got a pretty, not perfect, but we've got a governance system that relies on me, and you probably don't need a king. It's not going to end well. No, we want a king. So he gives us a king, doesn't end well. We see Moses go up the mountain. They can't even wait for him to get back down. They've already built a golden calf. And so that was essentially the message, that we try to make our own king of this kingdom. And we have a good one. We already have a perfect one.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, cool. And so I guess obviously at camp, there was distractions. It was a big, long 30-minute message. There's laptops. There's ghosts. There's laptops falling off of music stands and all sorts of bits and pieces. So I guess if you were going to distill your whole message down into one take-home point, if you were talking to a kid at camp right now, or maybe when you sat down to begin to write your message, if I asked you, what is the one thing you hope they took away from your message? What's the one thing you hope for all the guys that are listening and who are at camp? What is the one thing you hope they've taken away, or the one thing you want them to learn from your message?
God has a purpose for your life, and it's not doing well at school. It's not getting lots of money or having a girlfriend or sports or anything that we try to fill. No, God's purpose for your life, you can only get it in Jesus. And he has a plan for you. He has a pathway he wants you to go, but you're only going to find that meaning and that purpose in Jesus. Nothing else is going to do it for you.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. And not Steve.
Yeah, like pretty much that. But honestly, it's but
the answer is Jesus.
It's Jesus. No, seriously, like I talked a lot even just now about the Old Testament stories. It's easy to think it's someone else is picking up a dirty old crown and trying to make it themselves king. But we just keep doing it as a society, and people have friends that they know of. You keep chasing. They're like, maybe you think this certain friendship group, or maybe you think this certain achievement at school, or maybe you think this I don't know, this high score. Whatever you think then I'll be happy, then I'll be king of my kingdom. Just learn from thousands of years of history. If you're listening today, you won't find fulfillment and ultimate purpose in that. It comes from the king of this kingdom, the creator, not the creation. And that's Jesus. And so it is the same answer said differently. But yeah, that's the one thing I hope people take.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sitting down and going through the message from camp. And thanks for, I guess, too, for delivering such phenomenal messages at camp. It was really good. And so for everyone who's listening at home, week one and not week one, night one and night two of the messages from camp are going to be available for you guys to watch. But not just that, the devotional or the small group times that you guys would have gone through, because I'm sure you've lost your booklets. Those will be on the app too, and so you can put your notes in there and just use that as a bit of a reflection time, reflect over what Liam and Steve and I have spoken about today. And yeah, I hope that this has been a really fruitful experience. I don't know, you guys have done a phenomenal job delivering those messages, and we just want to encourage everyone to do something with that. And so, yeah, that's our challenge for everyone home this week. And as we finish, again, as I've said, we didn't do it on camp, but seeing we're talking about camp, this is a perfect time to bring it back for camp in the future. I think it's time. We really need an intro song for you, but we don't have one. We need a plain fact.
I've been begging Jared.
There's no budget for it.
Absolutely
no
begging.
That's why Jacob's down on the floor.
We just have a plane noise flying like that. Plain fact.
Yeah. Like that like ding before an announcement comes over.
All stuff. It's a plain fact.
Yeah, maybe we can.
Yes.
Maybe we don't need Jared. Maybe
he's not worth it.
Yeah.
He's not worth the price.
Sorry, Jared.
Leave it with us. We'll have a play.
Well, this week's plain fact. I'm sure you've all heard of Qantas's impeccable safety record, but I'm about to tell you about the time that Qantas did crash.
Qantas crashed.
Qantas crashed, and they actually tried to slide it under the carpet so nobody noticed. It was a late, foggy night in Bangkok.
I feel like you need that conspiracy music going in the background.
They were landing a plane in deep, foggy weather, and they couldn't really see well. A whole bunch of miscommunication, and the plane actually aquaplaned off the end of the runway and crashed.
You're kidding. So it crashed on the ground.
It crashed on the ground, and the insurance company actually wrote the plane off. And Qantas was like, nah, we got to keep our zero hull loss so people don't know about this. So it cost them about $100 million, and they had the plane fixed and airworthy again.
And they keep flying it.
Not anymore. It's being decommissioned now.
But it did fly again.
It did. It flew again.
With people on it.
With people on it.
I feel that's worse than I'd rather than just say, hey, we crashed,
once.
but it's okay. We're not going to use that plane rather than sweeping it under the rugs.
I wonder if they've put on the description, cause another ghost. I don't know. I reckon.